Hey everyone, welcome to the July 20th Product Analytics Group Sync. Since we're a little bit low in attendance today, we think we're just going to kind of go around and just kind of share what we've been focused on, James, Ellen, and myself, and we can go from there and then just work through the agenda. I'm happy to start. So focus remains on infrastructure. As we saw last Friday, we launched Snowplow support for production. So existing projects have to reinitiate the onboarding process, but any events collected now and all the the enrichment and all the schemas running off of production are now using Snowplow. So that's exciting. I think we're still kind of catching some possible bugs to look into. So any support there would be much appreciated. As far as what I'm looking at next, I'm continuing to work on ClickHouse hardening and also working with analytics instrumentation. I almost just called it 3 different names there. But working with their group as well to kind of secure the front end part of our stack. So Snowplow, Kafka, and the events getting into ClickHouse, just to make sure we have everything buttoned up as far as security is concerned. So we can make sure we get official approval to launch in the actual production environment. At the same time, Halil and I are kind of focused on how we can separate ClickHouse from the rest of the cluster and how we're going to scale that. And that'll hopefully be good preparation for us to instrument.com, which I think we already at this point have legal approval to move forward with. So it's really just a matter of analytics instrumentation. Now this is just kind of sharing what's going on, but analytics instrumentation in terms of their unified interface to be able to send us events in addition to all of their other ways of collecting events. And then making sure that we have a separate cluster to connect specifically of the GitLab project too, which will help us not only test bring your own cluster, but also make sure that we isolate that level of traffic when we are still figuring out load testing and things like that from external customers, which we hope to onboard soon. And then this will also be a great way for us to, one, get better at scaling the services as well as doing cost modeling and setting things like rate limiting and such, and go from there. So exciting stuff coming up in the next few milestones, I think. But yeah, definitely that's what my focus is for as far as the infrastructure stuff is concerned. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Sure.
So I've got 2 things that I'm focused on. One of them is the sensitive settings UX change, just hiding fields. So that's still in review. I've been asked to find another reviewer. The original reviewer has got a bit much on their plate at the moment, so hopefully that'll progress once I get somebody else on the case. The other thing is the dedicated analytics settings page, which is mostly all there. I'm just stuck on a couple of things which I'm catching up with Ellen hopefully today to help me through those. So yeah, that's progressing well as well.
Awesome.
Cool. On my side, yeah, working with internal stakeholders or internal users to try to get things launched and onboarded. Dennis, thank you for helping on Pajama's site. Exciting to see progress there. I've got a check-in scheduled with those folks, a couple of them between now and the end of our experimental phase, and then continuing to try to engage with field team and with a couple of customers who have expressed interest to get them onboarded. I think we should keep looking hard at using GitLab.com or replaying data into the cluster to do some of the load testing and stress testing, though, so we can continue to move through experiment and out of that and into beta as we get through 16.1, 16.2.
Awesome. Sounds exciting. And then as far as agenda points, James, you've got the next one.
So I want to talk just a little bit about what's next after the experiment and some of the goals of work of the beta release, which I'm going to share my screen just so I'm not blabbering as much. So goals for beta, the purpose of the beta is to identify potential issues, bugs, or edge cases with our features that would prevent us from being ready for production grade usage and fully opening up for the GA. So we're going to exit criteria. I need to put a date on this, but we're going to do the same thing that we're doing with experiment of 6 weeks after we onboard. We're going to kind of close it off and say, hey, the beta part is done. We're not onboarding anybody new specifically, and get ready for GA. Take the lessons learned from that and move forward. As far as the actual user stuff goes, we're pretty much where we're at with our default dashboards. Kevin and I will continue to work to validate the custom dashboard creation, the visualization designer work that's more advantageous or opportunistic that we would add in. But really the focus is on getting those first SDKs out, getting this available for users and doing the stress testing through the beta. So that's really the focus and what we're looking at next. Click the stop share. So then beyond that, some of the validation work that we're doing now, Kevin and I did some interviews last week, moderated interviews with internal stakeholders on the task of creating a custom dashboard, users walking through that flow. Got great feedback from them, which we would expect from moderated, even an internal moderated panel or discussion rather. And then we're going to unmoderated this week using user testing. So we're excited to see what the feedback is there, as well as can they complete the task. And if they do, we're going to move forward with that feature. We're going to look to scope it down or continue to try to scope it down so that we can get it done pretty quickly and get it out there and available. And then after that, it's going to be looking at the product analytics visualization designer and getting users through that flow, making sure that the UX is really nice and tight. And the process that we're going through is a pretty exciting one of trying to very rapidly iterate through these prototypes and use user feedback really quickly. I'd love to get engineers more involved in that process as well. It shouldn't be just product and design or just product. It'd be great to have kind of a trio of sorts. And so we'll continue to share the Dovetail recordings, but I'll try to be more proactive about letting the group know when we have moderated discussions or putting together an asynchronous or synchronous kind of discussion around what did we learn, what were the insights, how should we iterate next, and get through those cycles really quickly with all of us weighing in.
No, that'll be good, especially since, these are already partial pieces we've built and, there's already some functional UX around it. And it'll be good to get engineers' input in terms of, potential technical constraints or just things that we need to consider, with what's built and what we want to steer it towards as well, based on feedback.
Absolutely.
Better.
Cool. Dennis, you want to talk dog fooding a little bit?
Yeah, so of course, I think every week I've been telling everybody we're almost there, we're almost there. We're trying to get our external customers there, and obviously there's steps still that we're trying to button up so we can say with confidence that we're customers data is safe, things like that. But at the same time, I think there are opportunities for us to just continue. James, you and I have been having conversations. I've been talking to Basti as well, and then just anyone basically I can. On my little world European tour of GitLab team members, I'm also trying to spread the word and generate some excitement there. And so getting pajamas, out of the co-working day yesterday, and I think the MR hopefully should be merged. Yeah, it's not officially being instrumented, but we got it done. It was great to actually just sit down and have IPs. I just told them go to analytics and dashboards, and then just follow the flow and see what happens. So it was also just good to see, in my own way, just like how that flow works and how well it does. At the same time, I think there's more opportunities for us to instrument internally and just really use a lot of production, like, and once we get .com and really high scale production environment applications to really help us validate and figure out. I'm already thinking like, obviously we're in the beta phase, we want to polish things, but I can already see like, there's probably going to be some type of 24-hour review we want to do kind of, and also add additional filters to break out by hours and things like that. Because the one thing that I think we all see when we start tracking events is like last 7 days, but you always see just one single day point for the one day that you collected data. So like, I think having that abundance of existing projects to like really balance the stuff towards will be exciting, but also help us focus on like topics that we haven't really explored yet in terms of like making sure that we're happy with the taxonomy with all the different SDKs that we're able to collect events from, as well as just making sure that we can focus on event tracking and actually have that workflow out, like defined in terms of what are we looking to provide to users as part of the shared environment, or what is the appeal for people who want to run their self-managed cluster to be able to pull whatever they want out of custom events. Obviously, if you've used Mixpanel or Amplitude, where you have, collect all the data, but then you can query everything, but a small typo can just make it a huge mess. Like we have to find where is the line that we're drawing for that we're providing as part of our managed service versus not. But that's all to say, there's obviously a lot of topics to explore. But just calling out a few of the other things that we want to not potentially, but like plan to instrument are things like the external handbook, version nav, metrics dictionary from the analytics instrumentation, re-instrument the internal handbook. The MR is already there, but it's just waiting for review. those already have a pretty good like sizable amount of traffic. And then we start getting into like the documentation website, which I think is another like 200,000 events a day or something like that. Pajamas is pending soon. And obviously we're very focused on trying to figure out how to get .com going in a way that is scalable. And, Basti and I have been having conversations about that as well, in terms of, yeah, we want to be able to take all the page views from .com and eventually the backend data and do it in a way where we can just slowly be able to ingest all that data at once, because we're talking, I think, a total of 70 million events a day, which will be tricky to scale to be able to do that. But I think it's also, I think I mentioned it before, exciting to be able to just say, let's just flip it from 1 to 10% or 1 to 20% and to see how the service will scale and be able to handle burst events and things like that. So it'll be exciting. At the same time, I think while we will have that kind of feature flag percentage gate, that shouldn't stop us from using another flag to be able to just say, hey, whatever, AI enablement's building a bunch of stuff. I was talking to someone who's close to like pipeline execution, and they want to track things like merge trains and things like that, like hopefully generating excitement to kind of show people how they can track events with product analytics, get them excited, start to show them that there's an alternative into in addition to what we already use to track metrics. So yeah. All that to say is we've got a lot more coming, not just internal handbook, and at the same time we still are very keen to get customers onboarded. But I think there's a lot to look forward to, even with just the amount of dog fooding that we're able to do. So yeah, just wanted to kind of call that out and put some visibility on that. Yeah, and my last point with infrastructure focus, I've basically already mentioned as part of my update. So that's pretty much all I've got for this meeting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot more than I think about when I talk about internal dog fooding of what we could go dog food with.
Yeah.
Or go put, apply this to. Yeah, I like it.
And it all kind of just feeds each other. Like, I think when we start to have get in front of customers or get in front of people out in the field and wanting to prove that we can handle it, it's like, well, we're running it on .com and we're able to ingest this much data at least. So I think there's a lot of credibility that we can use to establish by just the amount of dog fooding that we can do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exciting stuff.
Awesome. Cool.
So that's all I got. Anyone else have anything they want to share, or we can give everyone 15 minutes back? All right. Well, it's good seeing everyone. Yeah.
Thanks,
I think
Dennis.
have a good rest of your Tuesday. Have a good rest of your week. And as always, if there's something that I haven't looked at or a to-do that you've pinged me on a week ago, then please feel free to send it my way. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day and take care.
All right. Cheers.
See you.
See ya.